Telling a story through composition. Lecture 2 of Photo 101. What makes a photo effective? When analyzing a photo or shooting photography, your own photos, think about the following questions. Look at the story. Does the photo have communication value? How effectively does a photo tell a story? When looking at a photo, one of the things that really draws you in is the story of a photo. So those questions really help you think, is this picture worth taking? And when people look at it, do they understand what's going on? Impacting creativity. When viewing a photo, how does the photo engage the viewer? Does the image have an emotional impact? When you look at it, do you feel emotional? Do you feel scared? Do you feel happy? Does it make you feel anything at all? Does the subject and their portrayal provide an unusual or unique insight into the story? Is it just a picture of an orange? Is it just a picture of somebody squeezing an orange? Or does it tell you a story of who that person is, why the orange is being squeezed, etc.? Composition. Does the arrangement of objects contribute to and accentuate the subject of the photo? Does the angle and placement of the camera provide an interesting perspective on the subject? Is the rule of thirds employed effectively? Also think about technical quality. Has depth of field been used effectively so that appropriate elements are in and or out of focus? Looking at a picture of your cat, for instance, is the background in focus or is the cat in focus? If you're trying to show the cat's paws, are they in focus or not? Is the lighting and exposure effective for the subject matter? If you're taking a scary photo, is it dark and moody? Is it a scary photo that for some reason has too much light and is bright and cheerful? Is there enough detail in the highlights and the shadows? Can you make out what's going on in the darks? Are the tonal values and color balance appropriate to the setting? Is it for instance, a picture of the desert, but for some reason everything has a blue hue to it and it makes it feel cold? All of those things really help the story of a picture, right? It helps them become impactful. So, what makes a photo effective? The story, the impact and creativity, the composition, and the technical quality. This photo, take a look at it, right? What makes this photo effective? What is the story? Is the composition effective? Do you see lines? Do you see colors, right? What colors? Is it bright and sunny? Is it blue and stormy? Does all of that help to engage you as a viewer? Do you look at this photo and want to keep on looking at it, right? Also think, what type of photo is this? Is it a snapshot? Is it a product photography? Is it commercial photography? Is it fine art or is it photojournalism? Composition. What is composition? Composition is the framing and arrangements of the subject matter in a photo. Things that help composition is what is engaging, right? Does it draw the eye into the photo? Does it lead your eye to a point of focus, the important part of the photo? Does it highlight the subject matter? Composition also creates a sense of energy, motion, and or emotion. For instance, this picture, what is your eye drawn to, right? Is it in focus? Am I supposed to be looking at the rock wall around the edge? Probably not, right? Your eye is drawn into the church. The rule of thirds is a very important rule in photography. And as it is a rule, do you need to follow it? No, a lot of times you don't. A lot of times you break the rule of thirds. However, like most rules, you need to know them and understand them before you can break them, right? Because the most important rule in photography that most people learn is the rule of thirds. So let's go over the rule of thirds. What is it? The rule of thirds divides the photo into thirds. Take a look at this top photo. the rule of thirds is used quite effectively. So, on the top photo, you have this picture of a girl running down a row in a farm field. As you can see the rule of thirds below. You have a line on the horizon, the red line there. You have a second line beneath that, which divides it into 3 sections horizontally. You then have 2 more lines that divide the picture into 3 sections vertically, giving you a total of 9 individual squares. So the little girl running is at the 2 spots within the rule of thirds. Where those lines meet are focus points. It's used quite well. Take a few more examples here. Top photo. Does it engage you? Yeah, you want to keep on looking at it. So there are 2 sections which interact or intersect with the lines in the rule of thirds, and those are the little girl's eyes. So your eyes are drawn into those spots. The photo is also using rule of thirds with focus. So the top third is in focus, and the bottom third is out of focus. This photo uses the rule of thirds effectively as well. They are using the bottom third of the water, right where the water stops is exactly on the second of the lines. The sky is in the top, and the little boat is right where 2 sections intersect. So, the rule of thirds divides the photo into thirds horizontally and divides the photo into thirds vertically. So if you take 2 vertical lines and 2 horizontal lines and divide your photo up into 9 equal squares, like so, the rule of thirds is a 9 equal squares grid. And you have 4 intersecting spots, or points of focus. 3 vertical and 3 horizontal sections creates 4 focal points in the image. Typically, you will place your subject at a focal point to draw the viewer's eye. The goal in using the rule of thirds is to place your subject or the focal point along a vertical or horizontal line and a point of intersection. Here's a photo not using the rule of thirds, right? The egg is right in the center of the photo. If you look at the top image, yeah, it's a good product photo if you just want to know about the egg. Here's another photo. It's a bit more engaging. Yes, there's more open space around the egg. However, your eye is drawn into something, right? When you just look at the picture, you're not just staring at the center. Your eye gets drawn across the photo right to a point of intersection using the rule of thirds. Simplicity. This is another composition technique. You want to focus attention on the subject. And a good way to do this is to simplify backgrounds. Looking at the bird on the left, a bit complicated, right? The background has a tree. Not the best photo. However, if you just move around to get a better picture, all of a sudden the bird has a clean background and there's a much cleaner and more simple image, and you can focus directly on the bird. Another way to simplify your image is using a defocused background. So in this image, the bird is directly in focus and the background is completely out of focus. It gives you a nice, simple image. Another example of a defocused background. Your eye is drawn directly to the flower. And if you're looking at this, what other techniques are being used? The rule of thirds. Lines. Another composition technique. Diagonal lines as well as S-curve lines draw your eye into the photo. By doing this, it adds energy, literal energy, because you are being guided around an image. Lines can help imply motion, and they can focus attention on a main area of interest. Looking at this image, your eyes go up the track. They're also using an S-curve, where your eyes start at the bottom and curve around. Another image using lines. There's a lot of energy in this photo. You're being drawn all the way down into the horizon. An example of lines as well as rule of thirds. When you first glance at this picture, what is the first thing your eyes get drawn to? The two people walking, and that is because those lines draw you directly in. The stairs are making lines, drawing your eyes directly to the people. They also are the things most in focus, so there's a number of things here that are drawing your eyes to them. Another image using natural lines in many ways, but in this image, it is actually the zebra's backs. They are drawing you up and down using that slope to their faces. And the first zebra is in focus, so your eyes get drawn directly to them. Framing is another composition technique. It's a simple idea. You frame the subject with elements in the location relevant to the story. Framing is a great way to help tell a story. It also focuses attention. Looking at this image, framing is used to tell a much broader story. As you can see, this image of the countryside is framed by the windows. So this tells a much bigger story, right? This tells a story that this is somebody's view. There's somebody inside of a house, perhaps a cottage, using that old wooden shutters, the old windows. Whereas if this was just a shot, if they had gone up to the window and took a shot outside, you'd have much lesser of a story, right? You would just know, oh, okay, that's a countryside. This tells you a much bigger story, right? It tells you where the person is, where it's located, where the picture came from. Another image using framing. Your eyes are drawn directly in. These are some very clear versions of framing, where there are images actually framed in a square. Framing doesn't necessarily have to be as specific to framing. For instance, this is not necessarily a real frame, but by coming in close to the fence, you've created a frame using the wood of the fence and the end of your photo. Lines, framing, simple background. As you're looking at each of these photos, think about the story. What's the story being told? Lines and framing. So, what I want you to do next is go to the discussion board. In that discussion board, there are a number of photos. So look through those photos, and for each of them, talk about the type of photo, the composition being used, as well as what type of photo techniques are being used. All right, thank you.